All right, let's make this chat box pull up here. If you guys on Zoom that are currently in can help me out, either unmute and say hello or type in the chat if you can hear the audio okay. Anyone? Someone help me out? You? Okay, there we go. All right, there we go. Probably a little bit delay there. That looks like we're about ready to start here. Make sure. Okay. Is the audio? Can you hear me now? If I talk a little bit louder, is that better? Okay. Yeah, I'll talk louder once we get going here. Make sure everyone's admitted. I think that should be everyone, hopefully. So you can kind of see, we'll already get into this a little bit, but for those of you who will be signing in on Zoom, the earlier you get here, the better, because I'll play around with the settings a little bit. I haven't had a lot of time. They just integrated actually the pre-class information video I had. They still didn't have Zoom integrated into Canvas yet, and that's why I said I'd be posting links. Should be a lot easier now. There is actually, go here, get rid of this class seating chart for a second. Okay, one more. So if you go to our section on Canvas, down here on the left-hand side now, there's a little Zoom link. So I don't have to post the meeting code or the passcode anymore or the meeting ID. It should just show up. You should just there's start and end options for me, but for you, you should just click on it. It should send you right into the Zoom meeting. Right now, it's got like a waiting room set up. I'll probably try to disable that just so you can hop right in, make it easy enough. The earlier you get in there, the better. Before we kind of get going, or something else I want to show you. Oh, so just kind of start out as well. Obviously, those of you who are here in person, we've got this seating chart. So notes a little bit has to be kind of like turned on its end. If you're here in person. Oh, I'm gonna close out my email so that doesn't keep happening. Right now we've got group 1 and group 2. Group 1 this week would obviously meet Monday and Friday. And then next week, you would only be here on Wednesday, right? It's going to kind of alternate, especially since we don't have any holidays or anything. And I'll, post a reminder kind of every week which group is going to be meeting which days, because luckily for you guys, most of the classes I have to split into thirds. But given the constraints we have and the number of students in the honor section, we actually can meet twice a week. I have to break you up into kind of 2 groups there. So you'll have the opportunity to some weeks show up twice, some weeks show up once. I guess as long as this little experiment lasts. Looking at other universities, I'm not sure how far into the semester we'll be meeting like this, but I'll talk about that a little more in a second. So hopefully those of you who are here today and those of you who aren't were able to figure out kind of the seating chart and from that video. So if we go to, and then I already mentioned this Zoom link, so this will be a lot easier now to get into the Zoom link. So if you're not scheduled to meet in person, hop into the Zoom link. You can ask questions live. If any of you at any point in time want to, not be shy and unmute your mic and say, I don't know, hello, or ask a question at any point, you can do that. When you enter in, it should keep you muted. You should enter muted. If not, try to mute yourself just so we don't, I know it's cute when you hear dogs backing or barking in the background, but kind of start out muted. If you have a question at any time, you can kind of unmute and ask that question. Typically, the way I teach my classes, I think it shouldn't be too bad because I usually give even in-person prompts, like I'm going over something and I say, are there any questions, right? And that's usually a good time for you. If you had a question, ask one. Same thing on Zoom. I'll kind of give these prompts at different points in the lecture. I think it'll be pretty, we won't have like 5 people trying to talk at one time. Right? Let me just hop in. I got one more person. Okay, so we'll start out here, and I think I'll kind of mention some things as we go about my expectations for the class. But every week, I guess I'll go over this before we do this real quick. On Canvas, you can see these files. Under files, you've got the syllabus up there. That seating chart is up there. Now, if you try to click on that seating chart, and this is going to go for a lot of things in this class. I think I mentioned this in the pre-class or yeah, pre-class information video. If you just pull it up in the web browser, it doesn't have everything that you would get if you downloaded this. So if I download this file, notice it doesn't show up like that, but it actually has these tabs down here. And so now, like if I was just looking at it on the web browser, I'd be like, hey, group 1, group 2, what good does that do? But if you kind of pull it up, you can kind of see, oh, group 1, this is Monday, group 2 is Wednesday. You get some additional information. This becomes even more important when we look at, I'm going to minimize these real quick. When we look at the lectures, especially depending on what type of laptop, I think most of you have similar laptops, but we click here. Sometimes, depending on what computer you're using, or if my files or my pictures are too old, you'll be scrolling through here, and there might be things that say like, if you get down here, come on. Yeah, actually, they're not. I know there's a picture here that's not showing up, right? And that's because you're viewing it in the web browser. So what you need to do is always download these files when you're viewing them. That way you make sure everything is showing up in those slides that's actually on there, right?
Professor Lantis?
Yeah.
We don't know if you've changed your screen at all. We can't tell because we still see the same seating chart in Excel, and it hasn't changed at all.
All right, hold on 1 second here. Let's try this again. Can you see me now, Connor? Can you see that?
Yeah, that's better. We can see the slides now.
All right, thanks for letting me know. Speak up like that if something happens too. This is a learning process for me too. First time I tried doing this, so I'm sure it'll be a little bit clunky the first day or two here. But in these files, like if I try to, why is it pausing it? That's the problem. When you see these, make sure you download them and don't just click and view them in the web browser, because otherwise not everything will kind of show up there. Stop share. Now I just want to go and share. Here and here. I want to go to slideshow. We'll start clicking slides. All right. So hopefully everybody on Zoom is seeing the slides now, kind of full screen. Give me a affirmative on that. Someone? Anyone? Oh yeah, okay. You see the same seating chart, so if you change your screen, I'll always see. Okay, let's try something. All right, so currently you can see the webcam, correct? And I got the chat pulled open as well. Okay, this didn't happen last class. All right, so let's go to here. Let's try just doing this. So hopefully now you guys can see the PowerPoint slides.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. All right, let me know if that happens again. It was pausing it for some reason. Like I said, I still have to kind of play around with these canvases. I had the other Zoom all ready to go, and then switch to Canvas, and it's a lot easier to use those links, so I want to start using that. Okay, so that'll be kind of group 1, group 2 each week. I'll let you know, just a reminder which days each group is meeting. You can sign into the Zoom call. Hopefully this gives like a somewhat more interactive, because if you're not in class in person, you can still ask questions live, as we've already seen. Also, just so all of you know, your voices come over fairly loud, so it's I can hear you pretty clear. You can ask questions live. You can use the chat box. I guess I didn't start off with the introductions. I'm Professor Lantis. I'm getting so caught up in all this craziness. I've taught the honors section. You guys will be my 4th section that I've had. I've interviewed a few of you when you were trying to get into this program, so recognize a couple faces and names. I've done a regular section online of business stats, and I've done a hybrid in the summer. So I've got some experience doing this, although my hybrid was not me setting all this up. It was the university has this gigantic room over in the David Letterman building. And so I'm still trying to figure this stuff out a little bit, but I think this will provide a good opportunity for you if you're not able to show up in class to get kind of an in-person experience. Also, if for some reason we end up not being able to meet in class at any point in the semester, I'm still going to do everything like this, right? Same allotted time slot. I'll start a Zoom meeting. I probably won't be in a classroom. I'll probably be in my office. But you can still, I'll go through the lectures, you can still ask questions live, and it won't really cause any disruption in this class if we have to go fully online, okay? So you have the opportunity to show up in class, you have the opportunity to sign in the Zoom calls. If anybody wants to switch groups, I don't know. My experience has been sometimes the honor sections can be a little clicky, or there's certain friend groups. If you do want to switch, as long as you have someone in the other group who is willing to switch with you and you both email me, I can kind of work that out this week so that we get the groups kind of set up if you want to be in a different group. So that is an option kind of moving forward. But for this week, we'll kind of keep it group 1 and group 2 as is. And then any changes that are made from you emailing me this week, I'll kind of update that seating chart for the future. Okay? Any questions so far? All okay? Yeah. All right, so I love teaching you guys. I love the honor section. It lets me do a lot of really fun stuff, I think. Hopefully you guys will find it just as fun as I do. But just kind of going over some of the basics today. What are the class materials that you're going to need? You will need the book. You don't need the physical copy, but I will be using the kind of online platform, which is Connect. Have any of you guys used Connect before? I see a lot of nods in person. So maybe the chat's kind of going up. But it's pretty easy to register. I have a slide in here in a second that kind of goes through the steps more in detail. It's fairly easy. I'll use it to do these Connect homework assignments. We'll probably have 4 to 5 of them. And I say 4 to 5. I kind of like to keep this class fluid depending on how quickly we're moving, what we go over in class. Sometimes I'll change one of the Connect assignments from being scored for a grade to just practice. If I ever do that, it'll be very clear and I'll make it well known. So you might see like 6 of these, but maybe only 4 or 5 of them will be graded, kind of depending on how quickly we move, how close the assignments are to the exam dates. But we'll be using this quite a bit. I'll also post some things on this called Learn Smarts, just to have the opportunity. You can kind of go through them prior to when we cover the material in class. Have you guys used these in another class? I mean, it's really, it just walks you kind of through it just to get an idea about what we're going to talk about. I don't expect you, if you ever go through those, like they're just like an additional tool, maybe give you an idea of what we're going to talk about and be like, man, I'm really not going to know what's going on this week. But it gives you somewhat of a taste before we go over it more in detail. So those will be available, but we won't use those as a homework. We'll just use the Connect. You also need a computer or a phone, like I said, to kind of zoom in to the class. Now, I'm not fully expecting it, right? If you, for some reason, don't sign in the class during the live time slot, I'll be posting the recorded lectures on YouTube every single day we have class. You can always watch them after the fact. But as I'll mention here in a little bit, there will be some online quizzes that will be tied to whatever we're talking about, but you only have like a day or 2 days to kind of log on and kind of answer those questions. And if you haven't watched the lecture, you're probably like, what the hell is this, right? So I'm expecting that you at least show up, you connect via Zoom, or you watch the YouTube video at some point in the day when we're supposed to have class, okay? I posted that YouTube link where I'll post the recorded lectures. The easiest way to probably do it, let's see if, I'll pause it again. I don't know why it's doing this. Let's go to share screen, let's go here. Okay, so if you go to, I have a video uploading, so let's go to another page. You go to YouTube, that link is in the slides, but if you just search Professor Lannis, I should always be the first one, unless there's another Professor Lannis that starts posting more videos than I already have. I should always be the first thing that comes up, right? So you can click on here, go to playlists. You won't see these are some old stuff. Here's 3 sections for this class. Your Econ 221 honors, click on that playlist. And here's the first video I posted. It was the pre-class information. After class today, there'll be another video up there, which will be today's recorded lecture, right? And I'll just kind of keep adding those in. I'll put the date on them. Actually, I can kind of show you, I think it's uploaded now. See how kind of, oops, a little playback there. I hate hearing myself talk. So there's the date, right? You'll be able to see what day it was. And I'll kind of just continue to post those throughout the semester. Okay. Okay. Go back here. I already talked through all this, I believe. Oh, the only other thing I did want to mention. So in addition to all of this, I may post a couple additional videos on that YouTube page. What I imagine they will be is, one, we're going to do some Excel work in this class, and I'll do some of it like screen share here in person in class and on the Zoom call. But I might record some separate videos that are just like a more in-depth, that you can, it's like self-contained information about whatever the current like assignment we have is. So it'll be a little more focused and like relevant to exactly the assignment that we're doing around that time. And I may, like I said, I'll do it in class, but I'll also do like another example and maybe post that on the YouTube as well. If I do that, I'll put an announcement letting you know that there's an additional video, like a help video. And the only other thing that I'll probably do other videos that we won't have that will be the lecture is as we get close to exams, I'll probably do some like exam review. And I may even set up some Zoom links when I do that, when I'm recording those. So I might have like live questions, but I will probably do that outside of class. So you'll just have some additional help as you're getting close to the exam, how to go over some of those problems that you'll likely see on the exam. Okay. Once again, if I ever record an additional video, I'll always kind of make it pretty well known. I'll post an announcement on Canvas. And it's really just going to be additional information. It'll just be more help for you. Right? It won't be like pertinent information that like, if you don't watch it, you're going to miss something big. It's just additional help. All right, so I have this, hopefully it was fairly easy to figure out the Excel assignment with, the video, what groups are supposed to meet with days this week. I did it based off of last names. As I mentioned, if you want to switch, you can find someone else in the other group and you both email me. That's okay with me. Just some quick guidelines. None of this is anything probably unexpected. If you show up to class, you have to wear your mask. I mean, you just have to. If you forget your mask, which at this point, I don't know, if you leave the house and you don't have a mask with you, for me at least, of course, I'll go on a side like this, by the way. But I was up in Michigan basically all summer since I could do everything virtually. And they've been way ahead of Indiana on a lot of this stuff. So I've been wearing masks for like 5 months. But if you do forget your mask, the dean's office has some extra ones. I think our department office has one that's up on the 2nd floor. So I would probably send you down to the dean's office. But you do have to have a mask. If you sign in that Zoom link, please, if for some reason you come in not muted, just mute it right away, just to make it easier. Try to get there a little bit early if you're doing the, you should get here a little bit early if you're coming in class or if you're trying to sign up for the Zoom. The main reason on the Zoom is because I have to kind of admit you in that waiting room. That way I don't have to kind of stop and start the first few minutes of class to do that. Is there anything else I want to say here? I kind of already mentioned you can unmute if you have a question. I'll try to check the chat bar. I'm not as good at that. Probably better if you just say something. Also, one of the issues is with the other Zoom, I could view the chat when I was sharing my screen, and for some reason it doesn't show up now when I am. So I'll probably play around with that. Hopefully I can figure out why that's the case. So I can pull the kind of chat up, without having to leave kind of my screen share. But that's kind of my expectations in terms of how we're going to do the Zoom. Any questions on that? I don't think that's something crazy. Here's some important dates, the exam dates, the final exam, add drop, and withdrawal dates. So I want to mention here is the exams, the way we're going to kind of do these is I have the dates up here. So there will be a day that we would meet in class. Likely what I'm going to do is just do review in class that day. And if you're scheduled to show up, you can be in person or you can kind of sign in via Zoom, just some last minute questions, last minute kind of review. And then the exam itself will be open the entire day. So it'll be up on Canvas. You can start it whenever you want. It'll probably be about an hour, hour and a half, depending on which exam, how long you have to take it from when you start, but you'll have kind of the entire block of day open, for when you want to sit down and take that exam. You want to sit down and take it when we're supposed to be meeting in class, that's fine, right? You want to sit down later in the day and you want to show up to that last exam review, that's fine as well. Right? As far as the final, I haven't gotten a clear answer on this yet, but I'm guessing it's going to be like last semester where I think, well, it should have been most of your classes. If it was online, it should have been open for multiple days. Multiple days meaning really what I'm going to do is have it open the entire week of final week. And then same kind of thing. You can start it whenever you want. Once you start, you have 2 hours to finish it. But you can take it at any point that kind of fits your schedule in that exam week. Okay. questions on that? So keep moving. Yeah.
Is it gonna be like where you have the online processing and all that?
So my tentative plan is no. One thing that we'll talk about, we'll obviously talk about the exams as we get closer to them. So I don't plan on using the proctors, especially for you guys. But what I do plan on doing is some of the short answer portions. What I did last semester, and I'm going to continue this semester, is you will have to send me like a photo. I mean, you can do the work in Word or Excel, but it's lengthy and harder. A lot of times what people do is they do all their work, solve it, take a picture, and just upload the picture to Canvas. That way, I can kind of tell like if people's looks identical to each other. It's like I'm kind of the one who can tell if there's maybe some cheating or something going on. But that's how I kind of get around that. So, yeah. Another question? Another good question. Like I said, we'll talk more about the exams as we get closer as well. All right, so what do you guys care about, right? How are you going to be graded for this class? So 50% of this class's grade comes from the exams, but the way I do this, it helps you out probably more than you maybe even realize. Maybe after, hopefully we get to like weighted averages, you realize even more why it helps you out. But we're going to take 3 exams, 2 midterms and a final. Whatever exam you do the best on will count for 25, will be weighted 25% of your grade, right? Second best, 15, worst exam, 10. So what this means is, if you front load your effort in this class and you do really well in this first exam, it's gonna be 25% of your grade, right? If I get like a 90 on the first exam, but then I don't do so hot, I get like an 80 and a 70, well, it doesn't matter as much. That 70 only accounts for 10%, like it's only weighted by 10%, while that 90 is weighted 25%, right? So it counts like 2.5 times as much, right? So the easiest exam for most people is probably gonna be the first one, right? So if you front load your effort in this class and do really well in that first exam, you can kind of alleviate your anxiety for the rest of the semester, right? Especially if you do good in the first 2, you get to that final, it's only 10%. I know if it's my worst exam, it's not probably going to change my grade a ton, right? I guess if I really dominate the final, it might, but if you don't do as hot as good in other ones, it probably won't sway it near as much, right? Conversely, I've also had students actually in the honors section who didn't do as well on the second exam and were very worried. And the material that we do on the final is just, it's hard to explain until we get to it. It's a little bit different. Different types of thinkers will do better on that final exam than they will maybe on like the second exam. It's a little less computational, a little bit more, what word I use? You're kind of interpreting statistics more on that final than you are computing, right? And so some people do really well, and then they do really well in the final, and they get a huge grade swing because now the final is 25% of their grade. The grade exams they didn't do well on now are only 10 to 15. So really, I know 50% somewhat scary, but the way I have this structured, trust me, it'll help you out quite a bit. We're also going to have 2 types of homeworks. So Connect homeworks, sorry, 3 types of homeworks. Connect homeworks, individual assignments, and Excel assignments, right? These Connect assignments, we've already kind of talked about a little bit. Those will be on that online homework platform. Those will be, I have to look at the syllabus. I believe these are 12, the Connect are 12.5%, and the Excel are 12.5%, and the individual assignments will be 15% of your grade. And if anyone has the syllabus pulled up, you can check them out. I'm pretty sure that's the right way. I might have flipped individual and Excel, but those individual and Excel assignments will look pretty similar. All right, the Excel assignment will be the same for everyone. Everyone will have the same data set, ask the exact same question. These individual assignments will be a little bit different for everyone, right? It's the same questions, they're generalized questions, but what I'm gonna do in this first week or 2 is you're all gonna send me, we'll talk about it a little more in a second, but you'll all send me something you're interested in, and I'm actually gonna give each one of you a different data set, right? So these individual data assignments are actually kind of fun as we get towards the end of the semester, because you get some really interesting information out of what we're doing, right? And it's something hopefully like you're interested in, right? It could be anything from sports to, I don't know. Someone did something on Madison did something on hobbies, like people painting and what's it called, scrapbooking. I don't know. You can do anything, right? Anything you're interested in. I can probably find some type of a data set that's going to work for it. Okay. So what's nice is with these as well, if you front load your effort, there'll be about 5 Excel projects, 5 individual projects, but I dropped the lowest of each. This is what I've seen a lot of people do. You do all the homework assignments leading up to that final couple weeks of the semester. Well, guess what? If you're happy with your grades on the previous 4 assignments of each type, you don't really have to do the last 3. I would still suggest trying to do some of them and understand the questions so that you do well on the final. But if you don't do them, they're zeros, the lowest of each type gets dropped, right? Or conversely, if you don't do so well on an earlier assignment, you can always kind of make up for it, do well on the later ones, and that one gets dropped as well. Right? So lowest of each type gets dropped. So one of the Connect homeworks will get dropped, one of the Excel assignments, and one of the individual assignments. Okay? Now, I would not suggest going into like the first assignment saying, the lowest gets dropped. I just won't do this one. I'll get a 0 or a well, that means you have to do all the other ones now and do well in them, right? So I would not kind of use this. I would plan on doing all of them. And then if you get to the end of the semester and you're happy with your grade on each one of these types of homework, well, maybe then you don't have to do the last one or something like that. Okay. And we'll do these online quizzes. I usually use like iClickers in class. So what I'm going to substitute this with is, since you don't have to watch it live, so you could watch the YouTube video at any point in the day. After class, I'm not going to post one today, but kind of moving forward. After class on Canvas, I'll put a quiz up. It'll call it online quiz and then the date. And it'll come from whatever we talked about in that class lecture. Right? So it might be like 3 questions that look very similar to problems that we did in class. I might even get kind of fun sometimes just to make sure that you're watching it, give you the exact same question that we did in class, right? So they're not meant to be very hard, right? They're just meant to make sure that you're watching the lecture at some point, and it isn't even in that day. So when I post it, I'll keep it open until the next class period, right? So you'll have about a day and a half, right, to get on and get that done. Now, I would suggest doing it the day of class because you'll have hopefully watched that information, or if you watch the YouTube video the next day, do it as you're watching the video or right after you watch the YouTube video, right? But there's just a way, like I said, sometimes I'll give you the exact same question. I'm not trying to tank your grade with this. This is actually what I'm trying to use to help your grade. Making sure that you're just putting in effort, right? I always say, we'll see if this, I'm not gonna like this, but it's okay. So I know that the video is not great for you on Zoom. I'm actually trying to get this, we call it an Elmo thing set up, but I don't have the right cable today. I thought I did, and I don't. So I've got a different USB cable, and I'll usually do, instead of doing board work, I realized I tried to get things positioned. I had to pull cables, and it still doesn't look that great. So I'm probably going to use this Elmo, which is just basically you're going to watch me kind of write on paper. But it'll show up on the screen on Zoom. It looks a lot clearer, so I'm going to go with that option. But for today, I'm not doing anything crazy important, so hopefully you can kind of see this all right. But like, we'll do grade, because I'm like weird, is this is how I think about things, by the way. You'll realize I maybe a little bit weird. And you guys can't see this at all on there. So I'll just tell you what it says for Zoom. So basically, just wrote out a function, right? And what I'm thinking about is your grade is a function of 2 things, right? It has 2 inputs. So usually it would be like f of x and y. Well, the x here is ability. The y here is effort, right? So your grade in this class is a combination of the 2 things. You can be the smartest person in the world. If you don't put any effort in this class and you just take the exams and try your best in the homeworks, you're probably not going to get the grade you want. But if you put in effort and have the ability, which, no, in the honor section, I know you guys have the ability. So a lot of this is really going to be a function of effort, right? And obviously ability varies for everyone. And so maybe I don't have as a high of ability as someone, but if I put in a little bit more effort, my grade can kind of surpass them. So I like to think about life. Like this is like, I put grade here, but really any performance is a function of those 2 things. Think about playing a sport, right? I might not be naturally very gifted at basketball, but if I put a lot of effort in, get really good at dribbling or shooting or whatever, I can surpass someone who's naturally 7 feet tall, right? Potentially. I can't, but maybe some of you could. So, you know, this component, these online quizzes, this is effort. That's all it is. It doesn't even take ability. You just get on there. Like I said, you're pretty much going to be regurgitating things that we went over in class. It's a little bit of ability because you do have to get the questions right, but they're not meant to be very difficult questions, right? And even more so, what I'm going to do, I'm going to share screen again, is that each online quiz is worth 10 points. So let's say I do 3 questions, right? You get 7 points for simply getting on Canvas and submitting. You could not even take guesses and get 7 out of 10 points. But then if you work on those 3 questions, you get them all right, then you get a 10 out of 10, right? So if you put in any amount of effort into these online quizzes, I would expect all of you to have between a 90 and 100%, right? I'm not going to guarantee that you are going to get a 90, but most, I mean, based off the data I have from other honor sections, as long as you do these, none of you will get below 90% on this portion of the grade, right? And so that can really help boost your grade, right? Really kind of just an easy part to help boost your grade there, okay? Any questions over any of this? I'm talking a lot. No? Okay. All right, so here's kind of, I won't go over this too much, and we're not going to have, I'll get that first Connect assignment up there. It's not going to be due for a while, but it's more so just to make it easier. I'll put that first homework up on Canvas. You'll go to, usually it'll show up, it'll show up with a thing under files where it's like this new homework assignment. So once I post it, it'll be pretty clear where it's at in Canvas. If you can't find it, let me know. But once you see that icon, click on that homework on Canvas. It'll send you right to McGraw-Hill's Connect website. You'll register. It's just like registering for anything else. I mean, here's the steps, but you're all smart people. You can figure this out pretty easily, right? Now, the one thing that I will say in here is you can get that Connect or Connect Plus. The Connect Plus comes with the ebook. I'm not going to assign problems out of the book, so you don't need it, right? But if you want that ebook, you get the Connect Plus version. If you want a physical copy of the book, my suggestion is always don't buy the new one from the bookstore. They don't like that I say that, but just get an old edition of it on like Chegg, or does Half Pay even still exist? But like you can go out and find these used textbooks, and you can get, I think the second edition I've seen for 15 or 20 bucks. If you really want a physical copy, I'm not gonna be like directly teaching out of it. Everything you need should be contained in the slides or work that I'm doing in class, either using this, I'm gonna call it, I think it's a TT12 when people call it, I don't know, right? Kind of like board work essentially is what I'm gonna be doing on it. So you don't need that book, but if you want it, there's a PDF version if you get the Connect Plus, and you can, I would suggest the used version. I don't know how much the new one's going for, but you don't need it. If you already bought it, I don't know, return it and just get the Connect code if you really want to. Oh, the other thing I want to mention here was when you register for this, use your Ball State email address. Okay, don't use a Gmail, don't use anything like that, because what I've had happen in the past, if you don't use your Ball State email address, it has issues uploading the scores to Canvas, and so, which is not a problem. I can do it by hand, but it makes me unhappy, and you can't see your grade right away. Okay, so use your Ball State email. We can avoid that. All right, so talk a little bit more about the Excel assignments. I said there'll be 3 to 4 here. I think there's probably more like 4 to 5. It kind of depends. Depending on, like I said, this class I try to keep fluid. Depending on what we go over, sometimes I'll convert an individual assignment to an Excel assignment or vice versa. So it'll be about, between the two of them, you'll get about 9 or 10 assignments. But the exact number of Excel and individual can change depending on how well I think you're understanding the material, because the individual assignments are just a little bit more difficult, I think, than the Excel assignments. You'll hate these. The individual assignments, some of it's going to be in Excel, some of it won't be. So you'll hate parts of those as well. I know Excel is not the funnest thing, but I'm always going to go through an example in class. It's going to look very similar to what you should do on that Excel assignment or on that individual assignment. So you'll have a template. Like I said, I might even post an additional video. I might have 2 templates of how to do this. And you should have those templates pulled up, like the problem that we went through in class, pulled up as you're working through yours. And I think that makes it a lot easier. But also, like, I'm always willing to kind of help you out. You'll hate these. Don't be afraid to come in and talk to me during office hours. Email me. So office hours, I got to slide here in a second, but we can still meet one-on-one with Mass in my office if you want to, or we can kind of set up Zoom meetings. So never be afraid to reach out, email me, set up a Zoom meeting. I want you to do well on these. I know they're going to be hard. You might need some help, but I'm more than willing to help. Okay. The one thing I will say as well, like sometimes in Excel, like I don't know if my picture's here. I guess I didn't have the picture in here. I usually like to use memes, but I must have forgot mine. I know Excel can be a pain in the ass. Okay, like you forget like one little thing in a count if statement, and it doesn't do exactly what you want, but you've got 99% of it right, but it just won't work. So a lot of times if you're like, I know this is really close to right, but I just can't figure out what's wrong. A lot of times, instead of even setting up a meeting or coming by my office, a lot of times you can email me what the work you have done, what you have saved. I can quickly see what's wrong, and if it's, you need a little direction, I can within 5 minutes send you an email and probably save you an hour of banging your head against the wall, right? So don't be afraid to reach out, send me what you have, the work you have done, and I can kind of try to help you get through whatever barrier you're going into. Okay? Yeah, all good. Individual assignments, same thing. We don't have the exact number, but it'll be about 4 or 5 of these, depending on how I kind of switch them back and forth. I grade these probably a little bit easier than I do the Excel assignments, right? Because I really want them to be something that you find interesting. That's why I do them individually. I give you all a data set. Like I said, they're varying forms. A large part of them will be Excel, but some of them won't be. It'll be kind of like a mix between the Excel assignments and maybe some of the Connect questions you can see, but based off of your data set. Right? So you'll all get the same generalized questions, but you'll just have, one person might be talking about COVID deaths, and the other person might be talking about batting averages or something. Right? You might have just completely different data set. Okay. Not much else I want to say. So the first assignment, individual assignment, I'll get posted up there. I'm not sure. I think that doesn't look that, but how like the first 2 weeks kind of get this done. So this will be the first individual assignment. It's very easy. It's just meant more so for me to start getting you guys the actual data set you need. So it's basically choose a question that you find interesting that I can get you data on. That's really the assignment. I'll get it posted on Canvas. It's like tell me what you find interesting. Tell me why you find it interesting. It's questions that none of you are going to get wrong. Like as long as you submit this on time, you're all going to get 100% on this first individual assignment. Unless you like really nail it in and like, why is it interesting? And you're like, I like it. Well, okay, give me a little bit more. I need something that makes a little bit more of a convincing argument. So as long as you put a little bit of effort into thinking about this, this should be a very easy first assignment for everyone. Right? So first 2 weeks to get this done, I'll get this posted on Canvas later today, once I'm done teaching all my sections. I didn't want to start posting things before the first day of class and have people like freak out about, what are all these assignments up here? But just a couple things I mentioned, possible data sets, education data. So I've got a lot of data on like test scores, school, student characteristics. I've got a lot, county economic data, anything with unemployment, interest rates, income, demographics. I've got a bunch of sports. So shameless plug, I teach a Econ 330 sports economics course. So I just have tons of sports data laying around. And when I say sports data, a lot of that's even like city and county level, like income and stuff, because you can look at, well, maybe how the different teams perform if the city has a higher average income. So even though it's sports data, I have a bunch of just city and county data laying around as well that goes with that. So got a lot of old data sets from other things people have been interested in. Let me try to think of some of them. I've got a huge shark bite data set, all the shark bites and which ones have resulted in deaths. I've got where's some other goofy? I've got a bunch of real estate data, like just home prices and things like that. So really nothing's off limits. If you have something you're interested in, I'm 99.9% sure I can find you a data set that will work for this class. Okay. Any questions on this? Like I said, I'll get this link posted up on Canvas, and it's really just going to be a quick Word file submission for you guys, and I'll start working on getting you emailed the data sets for future individual assignments. Okay? Comments, concerns? Yeah.
Do you care about like taking notes or any paper or laptop?
Like in class? Oh, so the question was, in case those of you on Zoom can't hear, do I care about how you take notes? I don't care. You see, none of you have a laptop open. I'll tell you right now, gotta be careful what I say. So I don't care if you bring laptops to class. I know some professors might. Actually, for this class, I think specifically when we go over Excel stuff, it's actually very beneficial for you to have your laptop open, whether or not you're on Zoom or in person, because I want you to try to work along. I'll put the files up there ahead of time. I want you to work along the Excel examples we go through in class with me, because it's really easy to see someone do something when you're doing it, it might look really easy when I'm doing it because I've done it X number of times, right? But the first time you're doing it, you might run into some problems. So if you work along with me, a lot of times when we do these Excel examples in class, people have questions as you work through it, and I can get a lot of really small misunderstandings like settled right away. Whereas if you weren't having your laptop in class, you're writing it all down, then you go to your computer after the fact, now you might be really lost, and I'm not there to kind of help you. So yeah, I don't care if you take notes on pen and paper, laptop. Me personally, I know there's research to support this. It's easier to remember stuff if you write it with a pen and paper, something about like the muscle movement, like it helps you remember it easier. But yeah, if you want to take it, typing it out, I'm probably the only person that does this. But have you ever thought like when you're typing, sometimes I'll think things and I like think about how I would type it. So I think typing has the same kind of muscle memory as well. So I don't care if you use a laptop or pen and paper. Any other questions? Let me check the chat real quick. So looks like we're good there. Go back in. All right, so how to pass this class. Couple things, just kind of some review. Come to class, pay attention, or zoom in and pay attention, right? I don't tell you right now, if you're just signing into the Zoom meeting because you think I'm going to see your name and that you're there, I don't really care that you zoom in. You could be watching Netflix at the same time, right? So if you zoom in, do it not for my sake, do it for your sake, right? I want you to be there because I think it's better than just going to watch the YouTube video because you can ask questions live. But I also think, if you watch the YouTube video, that's fine as well. Whatever mode works best for you, make sure you do that, but make sure you pay attention. I know also, the one thing about doing the Zoom, I will say this, it's way easier to pay attention when someone's saying something it kind of as it's going, it's live, as opposed to like sitting down to watch a YouTube video. I mean, I know that I would hate to watch YouTube lectures, and it would be much easier for me to like hear it live and hear people asking questions or be able to actively participate. So when I put those Learn Smarts up, it's probably good to kind of try to go through those if you have the time. Do the homework, right? Even if you can't get it completely done, like, I put it off way too long. I'm only getting like half the Connect questions done. I can't get this, and I don't really know what's going on. I know this Excel assignment isn't completely right. Do as much of it as you can. Submit as much of it as you possibly can, because a 50 doesn't kill your grade near as much as a 0. A 0 really hurts your grade. So even if you know it's not completely right, submit what you got, right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Great. Michael Scott once said that. And if you guys don't like The Office, then it's going to be a long semester. So also ask me for help, right? So my tentative office hours, Monday and Wednesday, 3 to 4. So that's when I get done teaching for the day. And then Tuesday, Thursday, 12 to noon. So what we're going to do with office hours is I need you to set up appointments though, right? Whether or not we do a Zoom meeting or you want to stop by, meet one-on-one, because I can only meet with one of you at a time, right? So within those time blocks, we can set up, schedule a meeting at any point during those time blocks, but I do need you to email me ahead of time so I can set those up so I have one person at a time. As we get closer to exams, I will likely just create a Zoom meeting so that I can see multiple of you, because I know there's going to be so many of you, I can't schedule 15, 30-minute time blocks. But for right now, let's just try to schedule those time blocks ahead of time if you want to meet with me, either Zoom or live. Okay? And if those time blocks don't work for you, we can find another time. Those are just the ones I can guarantee you I will be available. If you say those times don't work, can we meet another time on Thursday? I'll probably say yes, but I can't guarantee you it's going to be between 1 and 2. I can find a time block during some point in the day, but I don't know exactly when. Those time blocks here that are post my office hours, I will definitely be available then. Okay? And so help me help you. Right? I want to help you guys as much as possible. I like to be pretty, I don't know if you talk with anyone from the other honor sections, I like to think I'm fairly accessible. I think I'm pretty willing to help and not kind of maybe scroll away in my office and just not answering the email or, well, you can figure it out on your own. I want to help you guys figure all this stuff out. Right? Also, does anyone know what movie is this from? No one? Anybody out there in Zoom? I'm going to be really disappointed. Let's see if anyone. No one in the chat even.
Jerry Maguire.
What? I think he said it.
Jerry Maguire.
Yes. Who said that?
Matthew.
All right, you're my new favorite student.
Right on.
No, yeah, I started to use these names. I started to realize some people don't have any clue what I'm talking about. I'm getting too old. So I already talked about office hours scheduling ahead of time. So the last thing I want to go through today, I'll go on an aside and then I'll go through this when we're done. So I know those Excel assignments. I know it's an individual. I don't sell subs and it's going to be really not fun. But it's really, really important that you guys have, I don't want to say a mastery, but a pretty good understanding of how to use Excel to work with data. Because I can guarantee you when you get out there and get a job, you're going to be expected to know how to use Excel, but probably things way more complicated than Excel. R, Python, some of these things. And I've had a lot of students who have emailed me back about they became kind of the go-to person in their internship, and they kind of stood out ahead of everybody else. I've had quite a few students actually reach back out to me as part of their interview process for either their job or an internship. They were given an Excel project as part of the interview process, right? And so I know that I know that this is going to be useful for you guys. And getting an understanding of how to use data in Excel gives you the ability to then kind of translate that to even more complicated programs that I'm telling you, like, especially like you business analytics people, like you're gonna have to know how to use stuff more complicated in Excel, but the tools that we learn in Excel will translate to those more complicated programs in the future. So I know you hate them, but trust me, like when your parents tell you, like, I know you don't want to eat broccoli, but it's good for you, like that's the Excel assignments in this class, okay? So this class is business statistics, but I always like to think it's really more of like applied statistics. Yes, the computation of them is important. We have things like Excel that can do that for us, and a lot of what I want you to get out of this class is not just like how do I do things better in my job, but like how do I think about the world better, right? And statistics really help you like figure out who's trying to lie or manipulate you. Like you see a lot of things in the media, and you're like, they're drawing conclusions that the stats don't support. So one example would be like them saying California has more teachers than Arizona, therefore California cares more about their children. Right? Well, that conclusion, yeah, well, they do have more teachers, so of course they care more, right? But why might not they care more? What also matters? There's a lot of people in California, right? I saw something like a pretty popular, like CNN or something said, you know, oh, this state has way more COVID cases than its neighbor. And it's like California, Arizona. It's like, well, yeah, California has way more people. I would expect they do have way more COVID cases, right? What do we probably want there? That's just have the wrong stat. We don't want the raw number. We want the number per population or teachers per student or something like that. Another one is like anytime you see like a 6 out of 10, like anything out of. So the last 10 World Series, 6 have been small market teams, which means teams in cities that don't have as much income or population. Well, why do you think they didn't go back to that 11th year? Well, if in the 11th year it was another small market team that won, 7 out of 11 is better than 6 out of 10. So my guess is that 11th year, a small market team probably didn't win, and 6 out of 11 is good. And if you go back 15 years, maybe it's only 6 out of 15, right? Anytime you see data censored, especially time-wise, you got to think about why did they only collect this sample of data, right? We'll talk about that more as the course goes on, but samples versus population, choosing a 10-year time frame instead of all 100 years or something. And this is maybe one of my favorite ones. So a study found 90% of bar fight deaths were the individual who started the fight. So karma is a you fill in the blank. Well, why do you think this is as high as 90%? So think about, you had a bar fight and someone dies, between 2 people. Who's the only person left? The one who didn't die. Do you think he's going to say that he or she say they started the fight? Well, if the guy died, I would hope I don't admit, I wouldn't want to admit to that. So the fact that that's not 100% is crazy, right? You have to think about who you're getting the data from. What's your data source? Who is giving you that data? Might they have a bias, right? And then kind of the age-old stats example is higher ice cream sales are correlated with higher drowning deaths. So ice cream is causing people to drown, right? They're drowning, I guess, in large melted amounts of ice cream. Right? What's kind of the missing component here? These 2 things clearly aren't causing each other, right? But when do people probably go swimming more often? When it's hot. When do people buy more ice cream? When it's hot, right? You're missing this third factor, right? eventually we'll get to this, we call people admitted variable bias, where you see a correlation between things, but that doesn't mean one of them's causing the other. You could also do the same thing here with ice cream sales and murders, right? Murders are just higher in the summer. People are out more, they're not just playing inside their house. Doesn't mean that ice cream sales are causing more murders to happen, right? So you have to think about kind of, yes, the stats are a correlate, like we'll talk about correlation coefficients. Yeah, it's a useful stat, but we have to interpret it carefully. A lot of things we talk about in this class, we'll talk about average effects, right? On average, males are taller than females. But there's plenty of females who are taller than plenty of males, right? But on average, right? So we have to make a lot of statements that might apply to the average, but there's more nuance to the conversation a lot of times, right? We might need additional statistics to get the full picture. Okay? So hopefully we can start to think about things like this. I'll try to pull things that are really relevant. We'll use a lot of COVID data this semester. I've actually already got some pulled. I'll probably put it up on Canvas today because we're going to start looking at it. Probably not Wednesday, but probably on Friday. I'll show you some data in Excel and we can start to get kind of play around with that. Okay. All right. So I think that should be the end of class here. So everyone in person today, I won't see you until Friday. Everyone who zoomed in today, you can kind of come to in-person class on Wednesday. And then if you want to make any switches, start talking to each other and then email me. Okay? All right. I'll see some of you. I'll see you guys here Friday, and I'll see everyone on Zoom hopefully on Wednesday. If anyone on Zoom has any last-minute questions, I'll leave the chat open here for a second and kind of look, or you can kind of talk.
Thank you.
Yep.